Hello everybody. You know we don't really do vauxhalls here, but we've got this little 2010 vauxhall Corsa coming. It's a 1 litre ecoflex, a 3-cylinder engine, and the engine was tapping. It sounded like probably a big end was on its way out or a little end, but as we found, it was not the engine at all. And to be honest with you, we could have easily condemned the bloody engine over this. I'm going to show you in a minute. But I've never come across this before, not on a vauxhall Corsa. This is the inlet manifold off this particular engine. You've got a set of swirl flaps in there. I'm not even sure if you can see in there, but I'll show you in detail in a minute. But basically, they've got swirl flaps in this manifold, just like the Mark III Mondeo's 2 litre Duratec HE engines. They've got a set of swirl flaps. And I believe what these swirl flaps do, they cause turbulence of the air as it goes through into the engine and makes the air and fuel burn better, and it makes the fuel consumption quite good in these cars. I know if you remove the swirl flaps, it can make the fuel consumption a lot higher. So they do have quite a purpose really. But these swirl flaps are rattling. They are rattling like, how can I even put it? If I'm trying to compare this to the HE engine on the Ford Mark III Mondeo's, when they rattle, you can tell it's a plasticky rattle in the manifold. This, on this Corsa, sounding like the bloody engine. So anyway, come and have a listen to it and see what you think. Actually, before I show you the car, this particular manifold we got here, this is a good one. There's nothing wrong with this manifold, and this will probably end up on the car. We have found a little workaround to get rid of the tapping on the car without changing the manifold. However, I should think that we will be putting this manifold on the car at a later stage when we get the time to do so. But anyway, as I said, I'll show you the car in a minute. But in there, whether you can see this or not, I don't know. I'm trying to shine the light in there. But there's the flap. This flap is only in one port, so you've got one flap there, no flap there. And in the next port you've got one flap, no flap, and the same here. So if I get hold of this lever, can you see that? There's a little flap moving backwards and forwards, and that would be ECU controlled to actually make that flap move. And you've got like a little mechanism here. Your vacuum unit will go onto here, and it will move this slider backwards and forwards like that to open and close the flaps. And what's happened is, where the bushes go down here to actually hold the flaps in place, the bushes are worn, so the flaps are kind of jiggling like that. They're going dun 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 like that, and that's what's making that rattling noise. So anyway, what we'll do is, oh by the way, this end one that I've removed the gasket on, because it looks like this piece comes out, so it's almost as if you can take this piece of plastic out and you can remove the flap. But I've tried getting this piece of plastic out and it doesn't want to give. It does not want to come out, and I get the feeling I'm going to break something trying to do so. So I don't want to destroy this bloody manifold, because it's a good one. So I'm going to put the gasket back in there, and I'll probably end up putting this one back on the car in a minute anyway, or in a little while. So what we'll do is we'll go to the car and I'll show you the noise this is making. So here it is, 3-door hatchback, vauxhall Corsa, 1 litre ecoflex. Let me just bark it up. Can you hear that tapping? I obviously can't hear it myself because I'm still recording this at the moment. When I get it on the computer, I'm sure I'll be able to hear it, but that is a distinct engine tap. Now forgive me if I'm wrong, but to me, on the face of it, if I looked at this engine and I knew nothing, which I don't really know anything anyway, I would have said that was an engine tap. But watch this. This little unit here This is like a vacuum unit, and it's controlled by a, I'll get my hand out of the way. There's an electronic solenoid there. I guess that's to boost the vacuum, create the vacuum. And these wires go to your ECU. So these swirl flaps in your inlet manifold are ECU controlled. Now if I pull the vacuum pipe off, I'll pull it off this one. Sorry, I'm trying to get my hand in there and not block the light. I'll pull the vacuum pipe off this solenoid. There. The engine tap has completely gone. That's amazing. Now the engine's lovely and quiet. So if I just pop that I'm trying to get, I'll pop this back on. There. Hear that? I'll pull that pipe off again. Perfect. Now you've got two choices here. Choice one is to replace your inlet manifold, or replace all them swirl flaps if it's possible, which sounds like a bit of a chore. Or two, and this is what we've done, we've got a screw, put it in the end of the pipe to blank that off, and left it at that. I drove this car, and you know, to be honest with you, these vauxhall courses, they are, especially the 3-cylinder, even the 4-cylinders, they're not very quick. But this one, with that blanked off, it's actually got some go in it. You put your foot down, I'm surprised how quick this one is. And I've drove quite a few of these cars, and I'm like, flipping heck, these are slow, and I mean really slow. But this one is quite nippy. I was well impressed. So what I'm going to do, I mean, I've done about, I don't know, 30-40 miles in this now. I've had no engine management lights come on. It drives absolutely fine. So I think we're going to leave it at that. And if we get another inlet manifold at some point, if it's needed, at least we'll know what it is. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that little point up, because as I said at the beginning, you could quite easily condemn the engine over something like that when it's a plastic flap inside the manifold making a noise. Anyway, that's it. So till the next time, see ya.